Every student desires to feel valued and recognized in their educational environment. When students feel valued, their self-esteem increases, leading to greater confidence in their abilities. Good morning. I'm Srionka Samanta, your speaker for today. In our fast-paced world, effective communication is more important than ever. So let's find out how establishing a language lab in school can enhance oracy. So we are going to go through these aspects: introduction, planning and design, implementation strategy, evaluation, and future directions. If you have any questions, you may jot it down, and I will be happy to answer all of it at the end of the session. So what's the importance of language learning? Globalization and communication. Globalization has heightened the need of effective communication across cultures, making language learning essential. A language lab fosters skills that enable students to engage in global discourse, enhancing their academic and professional prospects in an interconnected world. Cognitive benefits of language learning. Language learning enhances cognitive abilities by improving memory, problem-solving skills, that's so essential in today's world, and critical thinking. It also fosters creativity and multitasking, as learners must navigate different grammatical structures and vocabulary, leading to greater mental agility and improved overall academic performance. The other most important point of language learning is career opportunities. The establishment of a language lab provides students with essential skills that enhance career prospects. In a globalized job market, proficiency in multiple languages opens doors to diverse fields such as international business, diplomacy, tourism, and translation, making language learning a vital component for career readiness. I'm sure you all are going to agree with me on these 3 points: cognitive benefits of language learning, globalization and communication, and career opportunities. So let's move on to the next slide. Why do we need a language? What's the importance of a language? Why language communication skill is so important? Enhancing learning environment. Well, a language lab creates an immersive learning environment that fosters active engagement, encourages collaboration among students, and provides access to diverse resources. This enhances students' language skills through practical application, boosting their confidence and making learning more effective and enjoyable. Now, when we talk about practical application, what do we mean by it? We often teach a lot of words, new words to children. We make word walls in our classroom. Every student comes with a new word. But do we really teach them how to apply it in their daily conversation? Well, that is extremely important. So we need to do it regularly. If you are learning a word, try to apply it in your daily conversation with your friends, with your family, with your acquaintances. Even when you go to a market, going to a friend's house, talking to their parents, talking in a group of in front of a group of audience, everywhere. So application of a particular word, of a particular grammatical structure is very important. Addressing diverse learning styles. A language lab caters to diverse learning styles by offering auditory, visual, and aesthetic learning opportunities. This adaptability enhances student engagement, allowing customized experiences that support individual progress and facilitate effective language acquisition for all learners. When children speak, or when we speak for that matter, we wrestle with a lot of dilemmas. So if we are trying to establish such language labs in school and helping students to actively participate in it through a lot of collaborative projects, it enhances their learning experiences. It boosts their self-confidence. Supplemental language resources. A language lab provides supplemental resources that enhance language learning through interactive software, audio-visual materials, and personalized exercises. These resources cater to diverse learning styles and promote student engagement, enabling them to practice and refine their language skills effectively. You may always guide students to watch movies of their age with subtitles, with good subtitles. Good subtitles, they can jot down words, they can enhance their vocab. This is one of the tools that they can use to enhance their language skills. So let's move on to the next slide. How do we plan and design a language? Which is very, very important. Planning, designing, making it student-friendly, learner-friendly. So let's have a look at it. Lab layout and equipment. Space requirements, which is very important. Space requirements for the language lab should accommodate individual workstations, collaborative areas, and instructor space. There should be enough space ensuring adequate movement, equipment layout, and access to technology. So when children get a lot of space, they have a lot of ideas, so they can sit together in groups, in teamwork. Teamwork is very essential. They can sit together in groups, work in a project, discuss ideas. Most of the time, they don't discuss. So we need to encourage them to discuss ideas. They need to give review of their ideas, peer feedback, which enhances, again, their oracy, their speaking skills. When they talk to each other, they know when to pause, what ideas to share. They get ideas from their students. So all this should happen in the language lab. It should be a fun space where they should know that learning is fun. Necessary technology and tools. Essential technology for the language lab includes high-quality audiovisual equipment, interactive whiteboards, language learning software, and headsets. Additional tools like dedicated computers, recording devices, and online resources should also be integrated to enhance interactive learning and improve language acquisition. So, what happens when there is a headset or audiovisual equipment? I'll give you an example. Children, they hear a word and they repeat it. Like, let me take a word from this particular slide. Equipment, equipment. They hear it and they say it. So they're hearing, listening, and saying it. So here I want to add another point that listening is a very, very important part. Listening and then saying it. Please teach children, teach learners to be a good listener as well. The more they listen, the more they learn. So audiovisual equipment, interactive whiteboards, language learning software, and headsets are some of the few tools that are necessary in a language lab. Let's move on to the next slide. Well, so these are some of the tools that we'll discuss in this slide. Print and paper-based tools, flashcards, posters and anchor charts, worksheets, dictionaries and thesauruses, picture books. It is important to teach children how to go through dictionaries, how to look for a word in a dictionary, how to find its meaning. A word can have different meaning in different contexts. So we need to explain children on that. And children love to see pictures. You will see if you give children books with very tiny font, with no pictures, no illustrations. Maybe there are a few who will read it, but there are some who will not at all look at that book. So we need to make it and select books that are interesting. Once their habit of reading grows, we can always suggest them books that are of their age. Posters and anchor charts, worksheets to see how much they have learned, to see how much they can collaboratively work together. Learning materials, word tiles, magnetic letters, puppets, and role play props. So important. You can use ice cream sticks to make small puppets. They can use their fingers to draw puppets here, and they can use their fingers to say a story, to narrate a story. It can be a very short story, but let them come up and speak. Board games and vocab dices or vocabulary dice. You can make a vocabulary dice. We have seen dice, right? So in every part of the dice, you can make a word. You can stick a word. And then when we roll the dice, a word pops up. So say the word glad. And you ask the child questions on glad. Or you can ask the child, can you frame a sentence with glad? Or are you glad today? What made you, what's the synonym of glad? What's the antonym of glad? So, in that word, so can you frame a sentence with the antonym of glad? This is the way we can make the students speak more. It is very, very important to allow children to speak, to make them feel valued in their classroom. They know that, yes, there are mentors who will hear us, not only inside the walls of the school, but even outside. They will prepare us in a way that we will be confident speakers inside and outside school. So here is a picture of a reading corner, which I think is one of the most important things in a language lab. So this is just a sample. You can create your own reading corner. There can just be a mat, a cushion, and a few books. You may ask children to get books from, old books maybe, or the books they want their friends to read. And I think this will create a wonderful space, a little corner for reading. We'll move on to the next slide. Curriculum integration. Supporting current curriculum and collaboration with language teachers. The Language Lab will enhance curriculum integration by providing tailored resources and interactive tools that support language acquisition. It aligns with existing subjects, reinforcing vocabulary and communication skills, and enables teachers to implement innovative teaching strategies that cater to diverse learning styles. You can also use another tool, that's the newspaper. You may cut out a few newspaper articles, of course, which is at their level or which you think they should read, and then you can have that pasted on the softboard in your language lab. Or you can make a small box and keep it there as newspaper, term it as newspaper articles, and keep it there. Let the children come and read. I think the habit of reading newspapers is not that great in recent times, so let us enhance that as well among learners. Collaboration with language teachers. Effective collaboration with language teachers is crucial for curriculum integration. Regular meetings to align objectives, sharing resources, and co-developing lessons will enhance the language lab's impact, ensuring it complements classroom instruction and meets diverse students' needs. Each student has different needs based on learning, language, writing skills, reading skills. So we need to cater to all of it. So it's always great to, share objectives, have a integrated curriculum, and see what's the learner's need. I think that will help them and boost their abilities. Implementation and strategy. So, you can always have a staff training and development. As you know, we constantly enhance ourselves as well. We constantly have to develop ourselves. There are so many tools. We have a lot of books that tell us what to do. But yes, I believe that a classroom teaches you a lot. When you are interacting with students, that's the best way to learn. Workshops and seminars. Workshops and seminars will be organized to enhance teaching staff's language skills and familiarize them with lab resources. These training sessions can focus on innovative teaching methods, technology integration, and practical applications, ensuring educators are well equipped to maximize the language lab's effectiveness. Ongoing professional development. Ongoing professional development for educators, staff will include regular workshops, peer coaching sessions, and online training modules focused on language lab technology and pedagogical best practices. This ensures educators continually enhance their skills and effectively utilize the lab to improve student language proficiency. I lay stress on these points because it is very important for an educator to know the language lab, the possibilities of a language lab thoroughly. Only then can the educator help the learner. Role of language instructors. Language instructors play a crucial role in the successful implementation of the language lab. They must be trained in effective teaching methodologies, technology integration, and assessment techniques to foster an engaging and supportive learning environment that enhances students' language skills. And here we have the next slide, which will tell us about evaluation and future directions, how we can evaluate children, student performance metrics, and feedback mechanisms. Now, these feedback mechanisms can also come from peers, can also come from teachers. So evaluating the impact of the language lab on student performance metrics will focus on improved test scores if you want to take a test, increased language proficiency levels, and enhanced engagement in language activities, guiding future announcements and curriculum adjustments to maximize student outcome. Each student might not be on the same platform. So accordingly, we will prepare maybe worksheets or maybe a talk show, or maybe we will ask them to speak on a particular topic to see how much engage their performance level. And then accordingly, we can prepare a curriculum for those students. Effective feedback mechanisms such as student surveys and teacher assessments will be implemented to evaluate the language lab's impact. Analyzing this feedback regularly will guide improvements. Ensuring resources effectively enhance language acquisition and engagement among students. When we use the resources that are kept in the language lab properly, we can understand how much that resource is actually helpful for the learner. If you think it needs to be changed or it needs to be modified, we can always do it. Incorporating new technologies, expanding language offerings, community engagement, and involvement. Incorporating new technologies such as AI-driven language learning apps, interactive software, and online resources can enhance engagement and provide personalized learning experience. Here, it is very important for the educators to first go through the different AI tools and see which is the most helpful. Please do not just suggest an AI without you using it or for the first time, and then you can ask the students to go through it. Future enhancements should focus on integrating these tools to support diverse learning styles and improve language acquisition outcomes. To enhance the language lab's effectiveness, consider expanding language offerings to include less commonly taught languages, immersive cultural workshops, and advanced proficiency courses. This diversification will cater to varied student interest and prepare them for global opportunities. Community engagement and involvement. Community engagement is vital for the success of the language lab, involving parents and local organizations in workshops and events can enhance resource sharing, foster support, and create a collaborative environment that benefits students' language learning experiences. Building partnerships will also strengthen community ties. So that's the main point that I keep telling in my workshops, that let the learners speak, because most of the time we are glued, maybe the learners are watching something glued to the screens. They have less talk time. So let them speak. Show them a picture, show them a historical picture, and ask them to speak. If they have, gone for a vacation to maybe a beach or to a historical place, ask them to come back and describe it. They can make a PPT of that and then describe it. These little tools, boosts up. The more they speak, the more they will be confident. We can't always tell learners, please stand in front of the mirror and speak, and that way, you'll enhance your practice. No, a mirror can't ask you questions. When you are presenting a PPT, or when you are talking, or when you are giving a speech to the audience, there'll be a lot of questions from them. Maybe one question, maybe 10 questions. So when you answer that, you are again enhancing your speaking skills. Well, I hope you liked whatever I shared with you. And thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, you may ask.
Thank you, Ms. Srionka. Can you stop sharing your screen, ma'am?
Sure.
Thank you. So I have received a couple of questions from the other speakers. So what are some common challenges that schools might face when establishing a language lab, and how can they be overcome?
I think that schools might face bringing too many tools, like, there's again the costing issues come there. So what they can do is, as I told, more paper-based learning. If instead of bringing 10 computers in, this is just an example, they can have two computers, or they can have two headsets, a lot of paper-based learning. They can have a lot of charts, they can have flashcards. Again, speaking, interactive learning can come in picture. I think these will help. And here I want to say, once you establish a language lab, and once you start practicing in it, only when you start practicing, you will know your needs, you will know how to improve it. Your language lab may not be the perfect one, but again, it's good to start.
Right. So as an experienced educator, ma'am, can you share any success stories of yours or case studies of language labs in schools that have shown significant impact?
Yeah, sure. The one of the main one thing that I had tried with my classes, with my learners, that is translation. Translation. You say something in their language or in their mother tongue, and they translate it. Maybe they are reading a Hindi storybook, and I ask them to translate it. So they have come up with wonderful words. Maybe it's a very short paragraph, but again, translation gives them a lot of opportunities. If you teach these things to children right from a very tender age, you see, we have a lot of translators who are as a professional translator, translating different books. I recently read a book that has been translated from Konkani to English. So if we nurture these things from a very tender age, it will be a cakewalk for the learners when they grow up. Again, they have a career opportunity. We are creating a career opportunity right from a very tender age. They always have that in mind that, okay, yes, I can translate well. I know my mother tongue very well, and I know English. So I can always, translate that to English. That's one of the things. And I usually ask my children to read a lot and come and share what they have read. That is, and then listening, using headsets. I'm sure all schools have computers and they have headsets, listening to the words over and over again. Because we listen a little less nowadays. We have to be very good listener. So listening to words and repeating them, I think that is very, very essential. And that really helps children.
Right. I think having a command on your mother tongue also helps in promoting your own culture.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So you see, like why I said this, because I have experienced this in my classes. When you ask, suppose I was just telling about a historical place, right? So somebody goes to an historical place and they record their voice, they record what they are seeing, maybe in their mother tongue, okay? The language that they speak most of the time at home. And then they're recording. When they're moving around, they're recording. You can ask your children to do that. Every phone has a recorder. So they can just take a phone, a mobile phone, and then just record as they're moving around. And they come back home, listen to that, and translate it in English or maybe any other language that they know. Because many schools teach a lot of language. They teach Spanish, they teach German, they teach French. So, why I constantly harp on this? Because again, you are creating a future opportunity for them.
Right.
And translators also have a very good role to play in movies, because there are a lot of nowadays in this OTT genre, you have a lot of movies that, maybe a Tamil movie has to be, has to be subtitled in English. So, again, you know your mother tongue and you know it very well. You have a good command over both the language, both the, and you can translate it. So that's very, very important.
Absolutely. So, ma'am, what advice would you give to schools that are just starting to explore the idea of establishing a language lab?
Yeah, the first thing is space. It should not be in a very small room. Give them space. Have a lot of, make it a little colorful and have a lot of tools. Teachers must sit together, plan. We need to plan, and plan means just not jotting down points. Okay, fine. If I bring in one laptop or one computer, what are the difficulties I'm going to face? Okay, so if I'm going to bring in, say, four, so where should be the reading corner? Should that be near the window, or should that be somewhere in a well-lit area? What are the props that should be there? So the scaffolding is very, very important. That is one thing. And I think that instead of bringing in too many things at one go, we can start with little bits and parts. Maybe a reading corner and maybe two audiovisual tools, a set of newspapers. And yes, the newspapers must be checked by the educators before bringing it to the language lab, because there are a lot of news which it's not required for the children. And these are the different. So once the language lab starts, they will find out themselves what are the requirements. And again, I want to constantly say, please allow students to speak, as in speak on topics. Let them create their own stories. Maybe the child will fumble on day one, but day 30, day 40, he or she will and they will speak more fluently. I can help.
Right. I guess you have answered this question, but a speaker has requested me to ask you this. Are there any specific language learning methodologies or approaches that you think are particularly well suited to language labs?
See, one thing is, I told you, listening. And then there are also tools. It can be prepared by, again, the educators and the mentors. They like you say a word in your own language, your mother tongue, and what does that mean in English? So you are hearing the word, say a book, maybe a book. So we say kitab, book. So you know the Hindi word and you know the English word. Right. And maybe you can add a few more language as well, which the student know. Maybe a class will have a mix of, say, students speaking Hindi, students speaking Bangla, or students speaking Tamil. So a student speaking Marathi, any. So you need to figure that out, and maybe you can make these audiovisual, which will help. Because what happens is they are at a loss of words when they speak. They don't know what's the exact pronunciation, what's the exact meaning, or what's the exact word. So, that this is going to help them to create a list of, for their level, maybe for, say, a grade 6 student, what are the words, they should probably know at their age. So you can create a list. That can be one tool that can use.
So, what kind of training or professional development do you think teachers would need to effectively use a language lab?
Training, yes, there are a lot of books that you have to read, and you really have to read a lot. And I always promote reading because reading, you know, helps you a lot. If you are not actually preaching, uh, sorry, if you're not actually practicing what you're preaching, then that's not going to help you. So there are a lot of websites that teach you, that help you to. There are lots of, quite a number of free uh, courses that you can do to enhance how to find out. So you have to constantly look through it. There are courses which can help you to find out how you can be a better speaker as an educator, as an educator. And read, please. I always ask my friends, colleagues, acquaintances, and I always, during my workshops, I ask everyone to read a lot. Reading has, really vanished. So we need to read a lot.
Yeah, book reading, especially the paper, the
Book
print.
reading.
The print has vanished. That's what I feel. Yeah, it's the digital
Yeah,
era.
print has vanished. Print has vanished. Absolutely. You're right, ma'am.
Yes. So you have mentioned about the assessment part of it. Can you discuss the
Yeah.
importance of assessment and evaluation in a language lab setting?
What happens? Assessment, I don't want to give marks. And maybe, when you assess, suppose you take a class for a month or maybe for 2 months, and then the assessment can be to an extempore. You give a topic to this child and you ask them to speak. You say you have to speak for 2 minutes on this particular topic. You can ask the student to make a PPT in the language labs. You can form a team of 4 or maybe 6, and then ask them and then tell them to what each member has contributed. They can also record whatever they're doing. They will love that. Whatever they're doing, maybe day 1, they can make a little film out of it, maybe a little documentary of how they made their PPT, how each and every member has contributed in that. So that can be, you can prepare worksheets, and accordingly, when you go through it, you go through the worksheets, you go through these examples, you can call teachers who are not, maybe not language instructors. They can come in as an audience, and then again they can give feedback to you later, maybe how the child or how the learner has performed. So that's also a feedback need, or that's also an assessment. And then accordingly, you plan how that can be improved or how you can help that learner.
As you mentioned that there is no marks required, like to assess, yes. Like there are various other ways, yes.
Yeah. There are a lot of other ways. We do not have to always give marks and grades for it.
Right. So, ma'am, you have discussed the physical setup of, how we should set up a language lab. What kind of technical support is required to establish and maintain this lab?
Uh, yeah, there should be, see, the basic technical support that is required for any school or for any language lab, the audiovisual boards or uh, the computers or the laptops for that matter. I think the basic technical things that are required, that's all. So, we have to see how it helps the learners. I constantly keep this as a very important thing. We get in a lot of laptops and computers and it doesn't help the students. We should not always plan activities where the student only sits by themselves and they're just looking at the laptop or the computer and they're listening and hearing and they're doing all by themselves, and then they walk out of the language. Please do not do that. That will not help. We have to plan collaborative things, group work,
Group discussions and
discussions, very, very important. Because wherever you go, when you're out of your school, you have to discuss, you have to introduce yourself. Many of the children, they don't know how to introduce themselves.
right.
Yeah.
So great, Ms. Srionka. I wish we have more time, but I'm done with the Q&A session. And thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. Before I could ask the questions, you have covered everything, but again, patiently you have elaborated each and every point. I thoroughly enjoyed the session. I really believe in book reading, and as I
Yes.
said, print is vanishing. We need to revive that. And I hope
Absolutely.
for the future generation, the children especially, they get into the habit of book reading, ma'am. So, anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, I just as you just talked about book reading, I'm very passionate about that. One thing that just popped up is, you can also encourage students, like if a child doesn't want to read a book, just read maybe first two pages, stop at a point where the child is engrossed and wants to know more what's happening in the next page. So you say, maybe, I'm tired, or maybe the class is over, or maybe I just need to have a glass of water. Would you please read the next page all by yourself? So you hand over the book to the child, and you see how that is a way, you can have little reading corners in the classroom as well. Tell children to bring their own books, and they can keep it for their friends to read. Whenever you are free, read in front of the children, because when you read, you are creating an example. So that's very important. I will tell, okay, class, now take out your books, storybooks that you've got, and read. And if I do something else, or maybe checking my phone, I know I have work, but let us pause that and let us also read with them. Once they see you reading, they will do the same. Okay, teacher is reading. Maybe they'll just read two sentences. Maybe they look here, they look there, they look at the sky. Let them enjoy nature. Let them read. Yeah, I think that will be great. Reading.
Thank you.
Reading corner is very essential in a language.
Right. So thank you for sharing your knowledge on our platform, ma'am. We are honored to have you on School
Thank you.
Reformer.
Thank
We
you.
will end the session now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Ms. Praveen.
Thank you.